Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like life is rushing past you, like you're surviving more than you're living? We all get caught up in the chaos, chasing goals, handling responsibilities, trying to keep it all together. But in the middle of all that noise, we sometimes forget the simple truths that keep us grounded, sane, and inspired. Today, I'm not here to give you some complicated formula for happiness. I'm here to remind you of something deeper. 12 timeless, powerful things that we all need to remember, especially when life gets hard. These aren't just words, they're anchors, the kind that can pull you back to yourself when everything feels like it's falling apart. If you give me just a few minutes of your attention, I promise you this. You'll walk away with more than inspiration, you'll walk away with clarity, peace, and maybe even a little more strength to face tomorrow. Let's begin. Let's start with the one thing that has the power to change everything, and that's perspective. See, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. The difference between someone who's constantly overwhelmed and someone who's thriving through chaos, it's not luck, it's not talent, it's how they interpret the moment. It's what they choose to focus on, and it's how they decide to show up, even when things aren't going their way. You've heard it before. Two people can go through the exact same situation and walk away with two completely different stories. One sees failure, the other sees fuel. One feels defeated, the other feels driven. Why? Because your perspective is your reality. And once you understand that, you start realizing how much power you actually have. Now, I'm not talking about ignoring pain or pretending life is all sunshine and roses. That's not real. Life will punch you in the face sometimes. It'll test your patience, your strength, your belief in yourself. But when you shift your perspective, you stop seeing those moments as breakdowns and start recognizing them as breakthroughs in disguise. Think about a time in your life where you thought, this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Maybe it was a breakup, a loss, a job that slipped through your fingers. You thought it was the end. But looking back now, wasn't it actually a turning point? Something that shaped you, stretched you, forced you to grow in ways comfort never could? We don't grow when we're comfortable. We grow when we're challenged. And perspective is what allows you to take that challenge and turn it into change. You see, life's not about what happens to us. It's about what we make of what happens to us. You can choose to see a closed door, or you can decide that maybe it's not your door. You can stay stuck in the story of why me, or you can step into the power of what now. That's not just positive thinking, that's powerful living. You want a better life, you don't need to change your job, your city, your relationships right this second. You need to change your meaning. Because the meaning you give to any experience becomes the emotion you attach to it, and your emotions shape your actions, and your actions shape your destiny. Let me give you an example. There was a man who lost his business and everything he worked for over 20 years. He had every reason to feel like a failure, but instead of asking, why did this happen to me? He asked, what is this trying to teach me? That question changed the game. He ended up building something even greater because his perspective shifted his power. The moment you start asking better questions, you get better answers. And better answers lead to better choices, better energy, better outcomes. Now, this isn't about faking it. It's about taking control of the one thing no one else can control for you, your focus. What you focus on, you feel. If you focus on everything that's wrong, you're going to feel powerless, overwhelmed, stuck. But if you shift your focus, even just a little, to what's possible, what's still in your hands, what you can do today, you begin to tap into something deeper than motivation. You tap into purpose. And when you live with purpose, even the hard stuff starts to feel meaningful. The struggles don't disappear, but they start to make sense. And that gives you momentum. That gives you fire. Your life will expand or shrink in direct proportion to the lens you choose to look through. So if you want a bigger life, a more fulfilling life, you've got to start seeing it differently. You've got to challenge the story you've been telling yourself. Because that story, whether it's empowering or limiting, is shaping everything about your experience. It's not about being delusional. It's about being intentional, because when you're intentional with your perspective, when you train your mind to find the lesson, the growth, the gift, even in the pain, that's when life starts working with you instead of against you. You have that power right now, not someday, not when things are perfect, now. Shift the way you see things, and the things you see will start to shift. That's the power of perspective. Now, here's the truth. Nobody really wants to hear, but it's the truth that sets you free. You don't grow when things are easy. You grow when life pushes you, when it stretches you, when it brings you to your knees and makes you decide, am I going to break here or am I going to build something new? The most powerful people you've ever admired, they didn't get there because life handed them comfort. They got there because life handed them storms, and they learned how to navigate through. They didn't run from the pain. They used it. They turned their wounds into wisdom, their losses into leverage. We all want growth, right? But most people forget growth isn't a gift. Growth is earned. It's forged in fire. It's born out of moments when things don't go your way, when the business fails, when the relationship ends, when you get that call you never wanted to get. It's in those moments, those raw, unfiltered moments of reality, where life asks you, who are you going to be now? And you've got a choice. You can shrink, you can hide, you can give into the story of it's too hard, it's not fair, I can't do this, or you can rise. You can decide that this moment, no matter how painful, will not define you. You'll define it. You'll find the meaning, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts, because pain is a signal. It's not a punishment. It's a wake-up call. And if you can stop avoiding it, stop numbing it, stop running from it, you'll see something powerful. You'll see that pain carries information, it carries direction. It's showing you something about your life, your habits, your beliefs, your boundaries, your truth. The problem is most people are trying to avoid pain at all costs. They try to protect themselves from discomfort. But if all you ever do is stay comfortable, you'll never grow, you'll never stretch into who you're really capable of being. Growth doesn't come from comfort, it comes from pressure. Just like a diamond is created under extreme pressure, you are shaped in the same way. And that pressure, that struggle, it's not meant to destroy you, it's meant to reveal you. You might not see it while you're in it, but every challenge you faced in your life has had a purpose. You are being prepared, molded, strengthened. And I get it. When you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel like growth. It feels like chaos. It feels like pain. It feels like, why is this happening to me? But if you hold on, if you push through, you'll look back one day and realize that was the moment that changed me. That was the moment that made me stronger, wiser, more resilient. See, we're not here to avoid the storms. We're here to learn how to stand tall in the middle of them, to find our center when everything around us is shaking, because that's how you build emotional muscle. That's how you build the mindset that can handle anything. And I want you to think about something. What if the obstacle in front of you right now isn't there to block your path, but to build it? What if the resistance is exactly what you need to become who you were meant to be? You don't need to run from the challenge. You need to lean into it, because it's not trying to break you. It's trying to bring out the part of you that forgot how strong you really are. And when you tap into that strength, when you push through instead of pulling back, you realize something incredible. You realize that on the other side of pain is power. On the other side of challenge is character. On the other side of struggle is your story, the one that's going to inspire someone else one day. So don't curse the hard times. Don't wish them away. Don't pray for life to get easier. Get stronger, get sharper, get clearer, because life will always have challenges, but who you become through them, that's where your greatness lives. Growth lives in the moments you thought you couldn't take another step, but did anyway. There's a shift that happens inside of you when you stop focusing on what's missing and start noticing what's already there. Gratitude isn't just some feel-good idea. It's not just writing down 3 things in a journal and calling it a day. Gratitude, real embodied gratitude, is one of the most powerful emotional states you can live in. Because when you're in a state of true appreciation, there's no space for fear. There's no space for stress. There's no room for lack. Your nervous system calms, your mind expands, your heart opens, and suddenly everything changes. not outside of you, but inside of you. The truth is, most people walk through life waiting for some big thing to happen before they finally feel grateful. They tell themselves, once I get the promotion, I'll be happy. Once I find the right person, I'll feel complete. Once I have more money, then I'll finally relax. But that mindset traps you in a cycle of when/then thinking. If you're always chasing, always waiting, and in the process, you miss the life you're already living. Gratitude flips that script. It brings you into the now. And right now you have breath in your lungs. You have a heart that's beating. You've made it through everything you once thought you couldn't. You're still here. That alone is enough to be grateful for. Think about it. You can't be angry and truly grateful at the same time. You can't be anxious and deeply grateful at the same time. Gratitude is the emotional antidote. It rewires the way your brain processes the world. It takes you out of survival mode and puts you into a state of peace, into power, into presence. And it's not just about the big wins. It's easy to feel grateful when everything's going your way. But the real transformation happens when you find gratitude in the struggles, in the delays, in the things that didn't work out the way you wanted, but maybe the way you needed. Because sometimes not getting what you want is the greatest gift. Sometimes the closed door is actually protection. Sometimes the unanswered prayer is life setting you up for something better than what you were asking for. But you can't see that if you're too busy clinging to your version of how things should have gone. Gratitude softens you. It humbles you. It reminds you that even in your worst moments, there's still something sacred. A smile from a stranger, the sound of laughter, a memory that makes your heart swell, a lesson that grew you, a moment of clarity. It doesn't take much to be grateful, it just takes awareness. And when you train your mind to live in that awareness, you become unstoppable. Because now, you're no longer a prisoner of your circumstances. You're no longer reactive to the ups and downs. You start to build emotional mastery. You start to lead your life from a place of fullness instead of lack. And here's the thing, gratitude isn't passive. It's a decision, it's an action. It's something you practice until it becomes who you are. You can condition your mind just like you condition your body. And when you start your day with gratitude, everything shifts. The problems are still there, the challenges are still real, but you are different. Your energy changes, your interactions change, your experience of life changes. It's like this. Two people can wake up in the same world. One complains about the weather, the traffic, the noise. The other one opens their eyes and thinks, I get another shot today. I get to breathe, to love, to create, to grow. Same day, same conditions, different life. Gratitude is the gateway to joy. It's the foundation for fulfillment. Because if you can't appreciate what you have now, nothing you gain later will ever feel like enough. Fulfillment doesn't come from getting more. It comes from seeing more, from realizing that what you've been searching for might already be right in front of you. So train yourself to find it. Find it in the little things, the coffee in your hands, the people who show up for you, the lessons that shaped you, the strength you didn't know you had until you were forced to find it. Gratitude will show you what's real. It will show you what matters. And most of all, it will show you that you've been richer than you thought all along. Because when you live with gratitude, even the ordinary becomes extraordinary. You want to know something that's wildly underrated in this world? Kindness. We're living in a time where people are louder, faster, more reactive than ever before. Everyone's in a rush. Everyone's trying to be right, to be heard, to be first. But what we're missing, what we're starving for, is connection. And kindness is the bridge to that connection. Kindness doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean being a pushover or saying yes to everything. True kindness is strength. It's intentional. It takes courage to slow down, to be present, to care. It takes power to choose grace when someone else gives you attitude. It takes character to lift someone up when nobody's looking, when there's no reward, no recognition, no spotlight. But those are the moments that make the difference. Because what you do for others says more about who you are than who they are. The little acts, the smile you give to a stranger, the call you make just to check in, the moment you take to really listen when someone's hurting, that's what changes lives. And you might not see it right away. You might never know the full impact, but I'm telling you, there are people out there who are still breathing today because somebody showed them a little kindness at just the right time. We all carry battles nobody sees. Every single person you meet is fighting something you'll never fully understand. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe they're smiling outside but falling apart inside. And your kindness, your willingness to be a little more patient, a little more understanding, might be the thing that keeps them going. Kindness is powerful because it cuts through the noise. It reminds people that they matter. And here's the magic. It's not just about what it does for them. It's what it does for you. When you give from a genuine place, when you show up for people without expecting something back, you don't get drained, you get fueled. It reconnects you with your humanity. It reminds you that you're not separate from anyone. We're all in this together. I've met people with everything, success, money, recognition, and they're still miserable. You know why? Because they're disconnected. But I have also met people with very little in material terms, and they radiate joy. Why? Because they live in service. They understand that fulfillment isn't about accumulation, it's about contribution. It's about meaning, it's about love. And kindness is love in motion. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to fix everyone's problems. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer is simply your presence. That moment where you say, I see you, I hear you, you're not alone. And don't underestimate the ripple effect. One act of kindness creates momentum. You inspire someone, they turn around and do the same for someone else. It spreads. And in a world that often feels divided, cynical, exhausted, being kind is a revolutionary act. It's leadership. And the best leaders don't lead by demanding, they lead by serving. And here's what I want you to understand deeply. The way you treat people when you have nothing to gain, that's your real legacy. That's what people remember. That's what echoes. They might forget what you said, what you wore, what you achieved, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So if you're ever in doubt about what to do, lead with kindness. If you're ever unsure how to respond, choose empathy. If you want to make a real impact, not just in your job or your business, but in your life, practice compassion every day, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. It doesn't cost you anything to be kind, but it can cost someone everything if you're not. And if you've been through pain, and I know many of you have, if you've been through heartbreak, through loss, through disappointment, then you already have the capacity to change lives. Because that pain gave you depth, it gave you insight, you know what it feels like to hurt. So use that, let it fuel your compassion instead of hardening your heart. The world doesn't need more critics. It doesn't need more judgment. It needs more humans willing to be real, to be gentle, to see each other, and to choose kindness even when the world doesn't. Because kindness, when it's real, when it's consistent, when it comes from the heart, that's not just a gesture, that's a superpower. There's something I want you to really hear, not just with your mind, but with your heart. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not the version of yourself that couldn't see clearly, that didn't know better, that broke down or fell short or stayed too long in something that was breaking you. That's not who you are. That's who you were. And who you were doesn't get to define who you become unless you let it. See, we've all done things we wish we hadn't, said things we didn't mean, stayed in places we outgrew, made decisions from fear, from confusion, from pain. That's part of being human. The problem is most people don't move on from those moments. They build an identity around them. They replay the story over and over again, not realizing that every time they do, they're reinforcing the belief that they're stuck, that they're broken, that they're somehow less than. But let me tell you something. Your past doesn't have the power to chain you unless you keep holding the key that locks you there. You get to decide right now in this moment if your past is going to be your prison or your platform. Because everything you've been through has the potential to serve you, not in holding you back, but in pushing you forward. The pain, it built strength. The loss, it taught you to value what matters. The heartbreak, it cracked you open so you could grow into something deeper, more honest, more real. The past happened. You can't change it, but you can change the meaning you give it. You can change the story. You can decide that maybe you weren't falling apart, you were falling into alignment. Maybe that detour wasn't failure, it was redirection. Maybe the version of you that made those mistakes was doing the best they could with the level of awareness they had at the time, and that's what growth is. Growth is when you stop judging who you were and start showing up for who you're becoming. I've seen people carry shame for decades, ashamed of their past, of things they did or didn't do, choices they made in survival mode. But here's what I want you to remember. You can't become who you were born to be if you're still dragging around the weight of who you used to be. At some point, you've got to put it down. You've got to forgive yourself, not because what happened was okay, but because you deserve to be free. That freedom starts the moment you stop letting the past define you and you start using it to refine you. What if instead of hiding your scars, you wore them with pride? Not because you loved what caused them, but because you survived what caused them. Because they're proof that you didn't quit. You didn't stay down. You healed, you grew, you evolved. And hear me on this. You are not your lowest moment. You are not your biggest regret. You are not your trauma or your guilt or the time you lost your way. You're the comeback, you're the fight, you're the resilience, you're the one who came through it. But to step into who you truly are, you've got to release who you're not. Stop letting old stories sabotage your new chapter. Stop repeating the same narrative that keeps you small. And if there's still a voice inside you that says you're not good enough, guess what? That voice is lying. It's echoing from a time when you didn't know what you know now. And you don't owe it your future. Your future is created by what you do now, by how you choose to show up, speak up, rise up. You've got new wisdom now, a new standard, a deeper sense of what you're capable of. And every time you choose courage over fear, action over excuses, love over bitterness, you rewrite your future. Don't let the past steal what's still possible for you. Don't let it dim the light that's trying to come through you. You are not here to live in regret. You are here to rise. So whatever's behind you, let it go. Honor it, learn from it, but don't build your identity around it, because you are not your past. You are the author of what comes next. The quality of your life has less to do with what happens to you and everything to do with how you interpret what happens to you. Because life doesn't just unfold based on your circumstances, it unfolds based on your state. Your mindset is the filter through which you experience everything. And if that filter is cloudy, if it's full of fear, doubt, anger, limitation, then even the good things in life will feel like a burden. But if that filter is clear, if it's focused, empowered, rooted in possibility, then even the challenges can become fuel for growth. Seeing people in the worst situations build beautiful lives, not because they had more luck or fewer problems, but because they decided to take control of the one thing no one can ever take from them: how they think, how they show up, and what they choose to believe. You can't always control what shows up, but you can always control how you respond. And that response, that's where your power lives. That's what separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant, whatever you water, that's what grows. And if all you feed it is fear, negativity, self-doubt, then that becomes your reality. But if you start feeding it with belief, with gratitude, with purpose, with truth, you'll start to see life differently. You'll start to feel different. You'll begin to take action in ways that align with your future, not your fears. Most people don't realize this, but the brain is always looking for evidence to support the story it already believes. So if you've convinced yourself you're not enough, you'll start seeing proof of that everywhere, even when it's not real. If you've bought into the idea that life is always against you, you'll filter every situation through that lens. But the opposite is also true. If you decide that you are worthy, that you are capable, that life is happening for you, not to you, your brain starts scanning for evidence to support that story. Suddenly, the setbacks look like setups. The hard days feel like opportunities to get stronger. You stop reacting and start creating. And that shift, that's not some fluffy idea. That's neuroscience. That's real. But it takes practice. It takes discipline. You've got to train your mind like a muscle. Most people spend hours in the gym trying to build their body, but they don't spend 10 minutes training their mindset. And then they wonder why life feels heavy, why nothing seems to change. Change your thoughts and you change your emotions. Change your emotions and you change your actions. Change your actions and you change your results. But it all starts in the mind. If your mind is stuck in survival, you'll always be playing small. You'll avoid risk. You'll settle for less than you deserve. But when your mind is trained for growth, for abundance, for courage, you start to move different. You start to take aligned risks. You start to own your space. You start to lead your life instead of just reacting to it. And listen, this doesn't mean pretending everything is great all the time. It's not about toxic positivity or ignoring reality. It's about choosing a perspective that empowers you to move forward even when things are hard. It's about asking, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? Who do I want to be in this moment? That's mindset. And it's not a one-time thing. It's a daily choice, a daily practice. And the more you choose it, the more automatic it becomes. You've got to guard your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. What you allow in, what you focus on, what you repeat to yourself, it's shaping your beliefs, your identity, your habits. And your identity is the thermostat for your life. You'll never rise higher than the standard you believe you deserve. So if you want to raise the level of your life, raise the level of your thinking. Speak to yourself with more intention. Talk to yourself like someone you love. Stop letting the old programming run the show. You are not your limiting beliefs. You are not your fear. You are not the voice in your head that tells you you're not enough. That's the old script. And you're the author now. So write something new, believe something better, live like your thoughts have power, because they do, because the moment you take ownership of your mindset is the moment you take ownership of your life.